What's everyone? What's up, everyone? We are live talking about Sword Art Online. We have a super full house today. We have heroes and villains. Oh, so excited to dive into this episode. Thank you to everybody joining us and my awesome special guests. We'll go around and say your name and the character you voice. We'll go this way. Start with Brandon.
Hi, my name's Brandon Winckler. I play Eugeo in Sword Art Online. Hi, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and then next to him, we got Cherami.
Hello, I am Cherami Leigh, the English voice of Asuna in Sword Art Online. I'm excited to hang out with people, virtually or otherwise.
Yes, and then underneath her, we have Greg.
I'm Greg Chun. I am the voice of everybody's favorite, the very sensual and alluring Gabriel.
Boo.
Come on.
Nice.
And then a arch nemesis, essentially, of Gabriel. Sorry, both of those. We have Kaylee.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Mills, and I am the English voice of Alice in Sword Art Online.
Yay!
And her soul
we
is
have
sweet.
Yeah.
And also
we have it's like we have a live chat going, so welcome everyone joining us live. If you have questions, please write those there and we'll get to those, and let's dive right in. Well, first of all, Greg, you've already talked, been on this season part, which has been awesome, but now it's kind of towards the end of your bit. Not done yet, and we don't know what really happens because no spoilers, anybody. But how does it feel to have this epic battle at this point?
Oh, it was super awesome. I mean, it's all been building to this point, and it was just such a good fight. Although I was a little bit surprised by sort of the out of proportion kind of weapons and damage. Like I was doing stuff that was blowing up like mesas. And then I shoot a bunch of stuff at him and he just sort of ting, 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 like with his sword and sort of knocks him away. So it was little moments like that took me out of it. Like that's physically impossible, but I enjoyed it immensely. And I really loved watching myself get my ass kicked and get killed. That's always fun, because you remember those sessions where you're just having to scream your butt off and you're like, well, I hope that is good for something. So, and I felt like it was satisfying for people to watch me implode.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Throwing up some of the comments from the chat. People are loving your voice, Greg, and people are loving what everybody's doing. So that's awesome. And yes. So also, there we go. We gained some of the ladies representing. Cherami, welcome as Asuna, because you haven't been able to talk about it this arc. How is it to join in of where Asuna is at this point?
She's been through a lot this season, and I think especially in the last two episodes were where things really got very emotional. I've had a blast with this character, and I would have never expected when we started the show so many years ago, when I had basically first moved to LA, and now where she's gone. I'm very excited. I don't want to give anything away, but the last, I think it was the last line of the episode. I don't think Bryce had the last line. I think it was me.
Mm-hmm. No, it was you.
The last line of the episode was a little bit of a surprise. I think it was supposed to be a surprise, but I when Alex was walking me through what was happening, I was like, well, that's not what she's going to do. She's going to do this. And he was like, oh, thanks for ruining it. I thought it was going to be a surprise for you. I said, she would never.
Yeah, like you've been with this character for so long. Like,
yeah.
You know exactly how she feels.
It was I thought it was a very Asuna move. Like,
Indeed. Agreed. And how many times they've been separated, which we'll get into that. No, she's not leaving her boy behind.
Yeah, I agree.
We had, I enjoyed this comment. We have Uncle Eugeo, Mommy Asuna, Auntie Alice, and a talking black hole. Yes. Yes, that's a good one. Nice. And then Brandon, welcome Eugeo. How is it being part of, like, you get to come back? How is that as your character of, you died, but not really?
Yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed the fact that he comes back because, Eugeo has to have a proper, moment in this fight as well. I personally am not the biggest fan of what happened to Eugeo, obviously because I'm biased. But Kirito's got to have the spotlight, 9 times out of 10. So you know what? I'll do it for him. But for the most part, like, I'm really glad to see Eugeo come back because, just it's nothing but emotions. I was expecting this, even though there's a lot of high action and high stakes in this particular area of the series. There's also just a ton of emotion and feelings, and my heart was just like, oh, my character comes back, and
actually on that, yeah, absolutely. We're glad you're back. This is a really interesting question. Xanalis says, I wonder how it feels to be voicing a dead person. I mean, Eugeo coming back makes sense because I research reincarnation extensively, but really, how does it feel to be dead? I would add, though, technically, as we've learned in, I think it was probably the last episode or so, it's like, no, I'm not really here. I am your memories. But still, was there any difference in your performance, Brandon, being in this state?
Well, I think the biggest difference in Eugeo from Alicization ending, the first part of Alicization, and now is just the fact that Eugeo is so much more of like, almost like, how do I phrase this? He's so much more of a supportive figure for Kirito in this, because he's I think that I'm trying to find the right way to put this. I would have to say that voicing Eugeo now, it feels so much more less he has something to prove and more like, you know what, I'm here, and I'm going to be strong for you and for those you care about, rather than my interest and the things that keep me going, because Eugeo's complete in this part of the series. He's no longer the character who has a hole in his heart, who's just constantly seeking to like prove himself or gain love or anything like that. He has these things now, and he knows that he has these things, and he's all the stronger for it. And I think that's kind of what Kirito needs to get out of the state that he's in as far as this point in the series. So I'm glad that he came back and he did all that emotional stuff. I'm so proud of him.
Me too. He was very useful. He came back and assisted multiple times. Yeah, for sure. And then actually kind of a flip of that, Kaylee, how is it being Alice at this point where you're the one being rescued, essentially? Like, you're not able to be part of the fight the way you want to be.
Yeah, I think that's big for Alice as a character, for her to take a step back, because it's not like she's not fighting because she can't. She's not fighting because she's having to learn to trust other people that she loves. And that's very human for one of her to do. And so just going through that with Alice, like how we've gone from her being basically this knight who has nothing else to her to this human, she's human, who can trust and love. And it's something else.
No, I like how you said that too, that she has to trust those around her, and she's such a person that's like, I have to do it, I have to take care of it. And now it's like, no, these people are here to help you and get this done. I want to scroll back here. I had a good question. Sorry, people. But the question was essentially, was anybody think about your favorite moment thus far? And wait. Okay. Well, I'm going to go for everybody on this one. So there we go. What's it like what has been a favorite line or moment thus far? And we'll go with Brandon.
Ooh. Okay. So getting cast was like the best part, because Kaylee and I found out that we got cast at the same time, and we freaked out together, and it was great. And I think, oh man, it wasn't too far off the time that we finished being roommates. So we both like freaked out with each other, and that was great. But as far as the character, man, there were so many good times with Eugeo, because I really grew as an actor with Eugeo. Eugeo was one of my first real roles, you know, in the anime world, and kind of put me on the map as far as anime, which I'm really grateful for. But I remember not having any confidence. I was like, am I really right for this? Am I doing the right thing? Am I XYZ? And, you know, it kind of felt like I was growing with the character throughout the series. So I really relate to him a lot. And Von David, Alex, he made it so easy on me. He was so supportive, and, you know, really like pushed me to be, you know, the best as far as voicing this character. And as far as favorite lines, I love, there's this scene where we're talking with administrator, and we're talking about love in a sense. And you know, Eugeo basically expresses like, hey, look, love isn't control. Love is, you know, something you give freely, and you don't seek it. It's just something you give, and that's pure, honest love. And I remember resonating with that line so much, and I'm like, oh, my boy gets it, you know, like we should treat people like this. And so that's what I love so much about Eugeo, is that he grows into this character that understands what human connection is. And you know, I think that's so important, especially in like this day and age. We need to be kinder to one another, and, you know, that's something that I really resonated with, and I'll always appreciate about this role. So yeah.
Nice. Also, real quick, if you want to touch upon briefly, touching a good point that Eugeo and Kirito bonded so well because Kirito doesn't quite have any close male friends. I mean, there are some of the original friends from like way back when, but he isn't like close with them. Like in a way, Asuna, even though he loves her, she's almost just like a best friend as well. So how has it been to be that character of where they can bond as like two guy friends?
It's really cool because you know, I say I grew up with, but, you know, it's weird. When I was an early anime fan, you know, I watched SAO, and, you know, I remember being like a really big fan of it. And I was like, why don't I see more of Klein? You know, and poor Klein gets, yeah, he gets swept under the rug. And I'm like,
right?
I'm like, oh man, I would love to see him more, because I do love the idea of Kirito getting to interact with more male characters same age, and, you know, growing close with them. And I'm really great, and I think it's really awesome that he does have that friend in this series, because you guys get to see exactly how that relationship would play out. And you know, it's a tragic and terrible that Eugeo goes the way that he goes, but, you know, at least we get to see that connection build and grow. And I think that is kind of what makes it so tragic. It's because of the fact that, you know, he hasn't had another close guy friend, bro, for example, you know. And so yeah, it's a fun thing to watch. It's really entertaining, and it's something new that I think the series needed. So yeah.
And Cherami, what has been a favorite line or moment for you up to this point? You have quite a bit to pull from, but if you want to go from this arc, whatever comes to mind first.
That's so hard. Okay, so from this arc,
first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, I love when Sinon and the rest of the gang shows up in that moment when things are getting really rough, and Asuna is not sure if she's got enough energy to. I mean, she can only use that power so many times before she's completely depleted. So to have them show up, I loved seeing her and Alice's relationship evolve over this season. And then I loved the moment, I think it was last week's episode, with her and Kirito, the reunion, and then him being in such a state in this past episode, and then seeing that, no, she's not ever going to leave or abandon him. Those are, I mean, there have been great moments this season.
Yeah, we talked about that on a previous episode of just how great it was when the OGs are back, and Asuna's like, oh, thank goodness. And even also for Asuna, finally her reunion. We talked with Bryce last week about when finally Asuna and Kirito are back together again. And I'm like, go to your man. Like, come on.
It's
Yeah.
I told Alex, I said, on the one hand, I say, hasn't she been through enough in like the duration of the show? There's always some sort of trauma that she's dealing with. But that's one of the things that I love so much about Sword Art is, as an audience and as the actors, but certainly as the audience, it pushes us to a place where we are, we feel so deeply for these characters that we get these beautiful messages like we did in the previous episode, where you can see the love and the memories and the connections that he has with each of those people. That is the only way he's able to defeat this darkness, is because the love is the only thing that can get there. And it only comes from when we interact and connect with each other. So we feel so much pain. We feel so much hurt. We feel so connected because these stories are, like Brandon said, so tragic at times, but that makes the vindication and the payoff so much better. And we really feel the power of the love and the power of the positivity that they have intertwined in the story. So that's one of my absolute favorite things of getting to work on the show, because we've had moments of that in every season.
Oh yeah. And there's been this season and overall so many hills and valleys of emotions that these characters have to go through. Speaking of love, where'd it go here? We getting some love for Alice. So I was going to say, Kaylee, what has been a favorite moment for you thus far?
Yeah, that's really hard too, because Alice has gone through so much in such a short amount of time with her character. I'd say, like, I remember when we first started, and I was so surprised because when I was young Alice, she kind of went away so soon, and I didn't expect that. So I'd already gotten attached to this little Alice, this like little spunky girl, and then she was gone, like right away. So I think one of my first favorite scenes was when Alice and Kirito they fell out of the tower and they were climbing back up, and that was the first time you kind of saw a little bit of the like cute spunky personality come back. So just her arguing over like how to steam like a bun. I just thought that was really great. I just thought, yeah, I love that.
I love that scene
talked to
too, where
Kaylee
they're
in a
sitting.
while, but does anybody else think her voice is like super low? Like, what
Yes.
is your super low voice?
I've noticed that too.
What do you sound like this now? I haven't talked to you in forever. Do you like have
sound
this?
like this in there?
My voice is super low.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's been a rough year.
She's got a weathered quality to her voice now.
Absolutely. A little bit of screaming.
But obviously, we heard Alice. She could still do the high stuff too. Your range is just broadened.
Yes.
You're
That's
like,
right.
yes, I've been in training
There
all
we go.
year long.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree. I love that balcony scene. Or the ledge scene. It just felt like a casual conversation. We're just hanging off the ledge of a giant building, but but it was like a sweetness to it for sure. Now, Greg, what has been a favorite moment or line for you?
Well, this has been really interesting because, obviously I joined with this arc, and I guess, there were a lot of fun moments, but I really love when I was first getting to know the character, that there's some time, I forgot, like Kaylee's like flying through the air and like leaving or something like that. And I say something about like, Alice, like your soul will be sweet or something like that. And I get the crazy anime eyes going on where they're like looking different directions. And like, I think the fun part, well, not fun, but the very informative part about that for me is that it really gave me a sense of who I was. Like, I am basically a drug addict. And like, I intentionally, as I was watching through the season, now this is going to sound so egotistical, but I only watched the parts that I were in because I didn't want to actually develop any compassion or any feeling for any of these characters. So it just sort of like, even in this last episode, I'm like, I don't know who the hell Kirito is, right? And like, it's kind of like, I didn't want to have any attachment. Everybody was just sort of like as I go around this world trying to huff souls. I mean, they're basically just a vehicle or a way for me to get my next fix, So that's kind of how I treated it.
I think that's an excellent explanation. It's totally like a drug addict, which actually you kind of just said it, but someone requested if you could say a line in your voice. Oh wait, where'd it go?
I mean, I think that
there we go.
I think I said it to Kaylee earlier, and I just said it now, but it was, oh, Alice, Your soul will be sweet.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Which actually, speaking of that, were you creeped out when you heard it? Heard your
Nothing
own self?
creeps me out. Absolutely nothing creeps me out. So no.
There you go. Yeah, and then yes, hell of a drug. Yes, for sure. All
And
right,
this is
loving
maybe too
these
much
comments and
information,
questions.
but when I was young, I used to sniff rubber cement just because it was like around the house, and I didn't realize it was bad for him. It's like, this stuff smells really good, and I felt like I could ride my bike like crazy afterwards and stuff. So I kind of had a feeling, not that I know what it's like to be huffing drugs all day. I'm just saying, a lot of those lines where I had to kind of talk about I really should, never mind, just move on. I don't want to talk about this.
No, I think
I'm like, well then.
I think it's as I've been like reading and talking to people during quarantine, and everyone's like they're like, I've got so much time on my hands. I want to try to grow and better myself and work on things that maybe I don't like love, habits that I've gotten into, or everybody has like, I'm not necessarily an addiction, but something that you do as a coping mechanism or a coping skill. So I think everybody has something that they can relate to. And I think an easy one for a lot of people is the internet and social media. I mean, we all just like 5 seconds go by and you're like, oh, I've just been scrolling for a little bit. And then you realize it's been half an hour. It's that you just get lost kind of in that trance, and you want, like everybody says, once you get that rush, then it's going to take a little bit longer on the app or on the game or whatever you're thinking to get that rush again. And it lengthens your time. And so I think that's super relatable for people. And it's something that we all need to be aware of. And I think that's what's great about your character is he wasn't like this just overnight. This has been like years and years. And I mean,
a bizarre person for a long time, which we get his flashback to his childhood. Oh yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's like if we're aware of the capacity that then we could keep choosing to be compassionate and empathetic and loving rather than choosing like the quick fix, as it were.
I am so grateful to Cherami for taking the spotlight off the fact that I sniff glue for a living, and that she's so giving.
You've come such a long way, Greg.
Such a wonderful cast member who has your back. It's like, oh God, how do I save this?
We
poor
talk
guy?
about everything on the show. No, actually, you know what? There was a thing that was like 50% of grade school children have eaten this or something by kindergarten, and it was something like glue. So you're not alone, Greg.
Well, to be clear, I never ate it. I just inhaled it.
Sure. But that also means you could eat it because you inhaled it. But anyways. Yeah. Yay.
Casual
I like that you said that.
Honesty. He's very honest.
That's right.
Yes, and thanks, Jeremy. Yes, everybody looking out for each other. All right, going into this episode. And yes, thank you everybody for the comments. Keep them coming. It's been great. And sorry if I missed them. All right, the Night Sky Blade. I do love that Kirito is able to heal the dragons. They're just fine. They just turn into eggs. It's cool. But sure, that makes sense. Let's rewind the clock. They get started over. We don't really know their lifespan.
So cute.
I'm curious how long it takes for them to grow, because Alice is like, I can't quite use them now at this point, but thanks for healing. Nah, but we get Alice and Asuna, and they get to the stairs, and they have to run. So Kaylee, how was that? She's not someone who runs. So how is that for you, also getting to see your character do this sequence of, all right, you got to go that way. We have a task for you. I know you want to do something else, but you got to go do this thing first.
No, it was hard because it's not only are you running away from the battle, but like you have to run fast. You have to be completely committed to running away from this battle. You have to have complete trust. And I think that's like where it's really big of her, where like you could view that as cowardly if you don't know what's really going on, but it's really the opposite. Like that took a lot of bravery for her to do that. But it was hard. Every single step I think was agonizing for Alice the entire way up.
I think, yeah, you're right. If it is a way, it is a form of bravery that you are strong enough to trust that the other people have a handle on it, to be able to step away from that, because otherwise that is a fear that you have to stick around and help. So I'm glad she gets going. So Cherami, how is that too? Of Asuna's like, we got to go. And also, Asuna now hasn't had too much interaction with Kirito's other girlfriend. But how is that at this point? And does Asuka think about that at all or whatever? Because she's so secure in her own relationship that she's like, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that ever comes into her mind, which I don't know if I would ever be that like secure and confident, but she is always like, she knows that he would never, and she is like, great, more friends. Now Alice and Asuna this season had a rocky start, and so like then seeing how I remember as we were working on it, I'm like, we gotta chip away at this, because otherwise if I say, hey, come with me, she's gonna be like, yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere with you. And so I think what I loved about that moment also for Asuna to have to leave Kirito in such a vulnerable state. I mean, he just woke up, which we weren't sure. I mean, we knew he would, but did we know he would, or when he would? So now he's in this very vulnerable situation, and she's gonna leave because she knows that it's incredibly important to get Alice where she needs to be, and they don't have a lot of time. I mean, like when Alex told me, and it'll be fine, Kirito will be able to get out, and I was like, I don't believe that he's lying to Asuna to try to protect her, and try to make sure that she gets Alice to where she needs to be, because if he tells her how severe it is, they'll both stay. So I think if he gave Asuna that inkling, then she would have not been able to tell Alice, it's all going to be okay, just trust me, because I don't think Asuna can lie very well. I think she's just a very pure-hearted person that,
she's
like,
too good. Yeah.
I don't think if she knew that she would be able to lie to Alice. But yeah, it was that was rough. And that is so daunting that the entire time I was watching yesterday, I'm like, man, if I had a Fitbit on, they should have put a Fitbit on both of those girls. We could have gotten so many steps in.
When you're doing running for that kind of a sequence, are you actually kind of running in place in your booth?
I don't know if I was running
she
in
passed
place
out afterwards.
Yeah.
She said,
that happened once I got lightheaded once for something. I think I maybe got a little lightheaded for this one. But no, it was the project I got lightheaded for was we were doing various speeds of running and hyperventilating and then going super, super fast. And I go, I can do it all in one. They're like, are you sure? And no, that was not a good choice. But yeah, I don't think I was running in the booth because I'm in a little tiny closet. I think I probably would have been too afraid that I would have bumped into something and made extra noise and ruined the take. So minimal movement is best.
Plus the engineer will kill you. I mean, if you, I used to run from the mic and engineers like,
here we go.
No, you know.
Oh,
I
no, I did that once.
Yeah.
Speaking of things you probably shouldn't say, there was a director. There was a director at, I think, Funimation who had a little tiny walking treadmill, so that while he was directing, he would be walking on the treadmill. And so I had to do a bunch of running reactions. And I said, look, has anybody ever run on the treadmill while they're recording reactions? And he's like, no, and I don't think it's a good choice. And I said, I want to do it. It'll be fine. If it doesn't work, we just won't do it again. And he said, you're really committed, whatever. So they brought it into the booth. It did not have a little, it was one of those like very just walking treadmills. It did not have a bar to like protect you if you fell. And I was not dressed to run. So I was wearing wedges, and it was a terrible decision. It was really fun. The team wished that they had somebody from media there to film it, just to be like, look how dumb Cherami is. They were going to say, look how committed. But no. After that, I don't think they would allow it anymore. So sorry, guys. I think I ruined it for everybody. At least at Funimation.
Yeah, that's what ruins it for everyone. Not the fact that if you do it, you hear clump, 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 clump while you're breathing.
You just have to breathe loud
You need
enough.
the,
that they
like,
can get
That's true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Project.
Similar to no squeak sneakers, you need like super squishy ones so they don't make such thudding noise. I don't know if those exist, but
Those little bitty
all right.
little squeaker shoes that like children wear so that you can keep track of them. We're like running with the squeaker shoes.
Well, I want to ask this also to you, Gio, in a way, and for Asuna. And Alice is part of this as well, I'd say. So how do you feel like Kirito has added Alice to the harem? Also, how would Asuna react if Eugeo survived and she abetted? Would she be like, you added a boy to your harem now? Brandon, do you feel you're part of the harem?
I feel like I've been accepted as part of the harem. I don't think I'm officially part of the harem, but I feel like the fandom has definitely welcomed me as part of the has welcomed Eugeo as part of the harem. You know, yes, I'll say yes to that.
All right, and Cherami.
I mean, again, I don't think that Asuna views it in any way that it's like a competition. I mean, I guess we sort of got an inkling of that maybe at the beginning of this season, but she knows that Kirito loves her, and so I think she feels really safe in that. And I mean, look, it actually came to our benefit, Asuna's and Kirito's, when they all showed up. So like Alice and Eugeo are pretty strong, awesome, powerful characters. I would want them as friends. I would want them at my side and having my back. And I feel like we're like a tribe. We've got each other's backs. And so, yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the team.
I appreciate that the show essentially made fun of itself when they had the sleepover and kind of joked about it being a harem of like, we got another one. So they know. Kaylee, any comments you'd like to add on Alice, the harem, and whatnot?
Yeah, I don't think she would want to view herself as part of a harem. Also, does my voice sound better now? Because my boyfriend just pinged me and he was like, your microphone's messed up. So that's why I sounded deeper or do sound deeper.
Actually, you do.
I knew it.
Do I sound normal now?
Yeah, you do.
Okay. I was like, I don't think I sound that much different
you need to know what that was so you can use that.
Seriously.
It was a wrong sample rate on this microphone is what it was.
I knew I wasn't crazy.
Oh, yeah. So it was on, 44.1 instead of 44.8, which just makes me sound like an octave lower. But no. I'll pretend I still have more range.
No, seriously, that's
continue.
Without the plugin, just by doing that. See if you can do that.
Yeah. You're recording from home. No one would know.
It's true.
That almost happened in a show. They're like, you sound really tired today. Like, are you sure? It was like this it was in Tony Kawa, it was Kaname, and she's like this cutesy character. Like, are you, like, I know it's morning voice, but something's wrong. And like, oh. So this cute little girl was just like sounding like this the whole time. It's like no one knew what was going on. Slow.
That's fantastic.
Anyway, yeah.
No, that's awesome. So yes, back to the question. Anything you'd like to add on commentary for Alice or the harem or in that nature?
I think it was funny at first because the way Alice was viewing it is, can I allow Asuna to maybe be a part of like the people who are below me? Perhaps. I'm thinking about it, but maybe she's competition. Eventually, I think she comes to terms with, there's a lot else going on, but I don't think Alice ever really viewed it as romance because she has so much else going on. She's still literally trying to figure out who she is and if she is. That I don't think romance was at all even on her radar. So I think once she found out she had all these people on her side, and they're not just on her side because she's like their superior. Because Asuna is one of the first people who appeared that's like, oh, this is someone who's technically above me in rank. And she still, treats me like an equal and wants to help me and support me.
It's true.
My friend. So, yeah, I think that was a more important thing to her than the idea of being in a harem or relationship.
They got a lot of stuff to work on to deal with it. They don't need to worry about the romance right now.
Yeah, these girls are too strong and powerful. They don't need to worry about that. And if they're too busy fighting with each other, like look at all of the evil, horrible things that would happen if they were too busy fighting each other instead of fighting this enemy as a collective. Like they need to all be focused on what the real enemy here is, and then be like, which boy likes us more? Like, no.
Yeah, there's a lot of ass to kick. A lot. Like,
yeah.
We gotta
So as long as there's a war going on, poly totally works.
I mean,
well, it's even one of those of any material. The creator of a project, the project itself, and those worked on it can be one thing, but you still have the viewer's interpretation. Just saying. But speaking of love and not loving, we got our villain and we got Greg going down with the fight, Gabriel and Kirito. And I love that you mentioned, Greg, that you had the, not wanting to watch it, because you should be like, I don't know who you are. Who are you? And it's like, I'm Kirito the swordsman. But he's getting kind of this mental fog going on. It's like, uh-oh. What's going on? I did love the wings. Kirito gets some wings too, which is weird because he was flying just fine, but it looked cool. But it's like, okay. And then I like that Gabriel's all, ooh, that's a good idea. And, kills his poor mantis stingray flying thing and makes his own wings.
I love how that's not something that occurs to him regularly. It's like, oh, that's a nice idea.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I like it. So, Greg, how was that fight? I mean, you touched upon it a little bit, but how was that for you, getting to see what your character's doing of like, ooh, I want to get wings and gonna fight Kirito, and then like, who the F are you, punk? And you're in my way.
Well, that was, I mean, the part about the wings just sort of like, I was like, oh, okay, that's what he's doing now. The part that really got me is when he transforms into sort of the energy monster. And that was just really cool because it just looks so bizarre and it looks so cool. And I knew that my voice was going to be affected and stuff like that. So I really had fun with that part because I again, with the drug addict analogy, I sort of took it as kind of like, you had a little bit too much, you know what I mean? And that sort of manic, not really knowing that your life is in danger, just kind of freaking out and really loving the moment. That's kind of where I was with that. So the cool thing about that fight is that I really got to sort of lose it and drop myself into this lustful manic state where, it brings something else out of you when you're kind of acting through a moment like that.
Yeah. Did you see this one? Someone said, you're literally demonic Terminator.
There is no order in Gabriel's glue factory.
Yeah. Yeah, the most Terminator-like moment is when he got pierced by all those things, and then he's just like, yep, fine.
By the way, that was so cool.
It was cool.
It was such a good fight. And actually, speaking of fight, go vote on the Crunchyroll Awards because we have the best fight of Bercoli versus Vecta. So shout out to Amari and Greg that they're up for best fight. So go vote.
Very cool.
I was like, yay! So we also get Kirito loses his lower half. What's up with people getting like their bottom half blown off? Sinon also gets like her legs destroyed. Gabriel, what's up with that? Greg, you want to do that to everybody? And then yes, the super power up, which was like the energy thing. This is also where I love how Eugeo comes in as kind of the voice of reason, because this is when Kirito kind of has like a mental break of like, okay, I want to stay in this underworld, but do I really? And I'm being selfish. And Eugeo is like, stop. Just stop. So Brandon, how is it being kind of the voice of reason to Kirito and like bringing him back up of like, it's okay, I'll give you a hug. Well, or snap out of it.
Well, it's nice because, it's so Eugeo, he is just so supportive and just so kind and sweet. And I love that child. And the fact is just, it's obvious that Kirito deals with some sort of like PTSD and like some sort of like really like he doesn't show it a lot, but he really like doubts himself and really like struggles with a lot of the same things that I think Eugeo struggled with in the first half of Alicization, as far as wondering if he's even good enough, and more like I've seen Kirito kind of devolve over the series, at least this series, because to the point that we're at now, he is just so unsure of himself. So much so that his spirit was like broken or whatever, and he's in that coma, and it's wild to me well, it's not wild, but it's cool for me to see that my character is the one who gets to kind of lift him up and be like, hey, like, you're not selfish. You're not these things that you put in your head. You are great the way you are, and you're fighting for everyone, and this guy is fighting for nobody but himself. And it's just, he's the best. He is the best boy. So yeah, and it's nice. Also, really quick, while we're talking about splitting people in half, can I just say at the end of I remember Kaylee, I and a bunch of friends had like a little party for the ending of the first half of Alicization, and they made a cake where Eugeo, where Eugeo is split in half.
Oh,
I have pictures somewhere. I'll have to look for them.
I didn't know where you were going with that. I was like, why are you going to split more people in half, Brandon? Why do you want
speaking
that?
of
Food, man.
Okay, and now a slightly more in-depth question for you all. This moment is kind of when it's Kirito and Eugeo and Gabriel fighting, it kind of addresses, Gabriel's like, I'm going to consume your soul. I'm going to take it. And Kirito's like, no, you can't have it. So it's also on another anime. But kind of that question, where do you think the soul resides? And there's no right or wrong answer or anything, because it's just what you think. And if you'd like to share on that, we'll start with Kaylee.
Oh, like in real life, where do I think the soul resides?
Yeah. Like, we don't need to get too heady, but it's kind of interesting. The anime kind of brings this up. It's happened in Madoka Magica too, of like, where is your soul? I feel other anime has touched upon it in other entertainment content, but it's an interesting question, and it's also Eastern versus Western philosophy of where it is. But in this, because it's also in SAO, it's such an interesting concept because it's a digital space, but your essence is there. So essentially, what makes you up? Because it's not your body; it's not really there. So where does one's soul reside?
I feel, and I'm like, this isn't like a solid belief or what I think is like 100% true for sure, but I feel like the soul wouldn't exist in like the same plane that we exist, because it's something that we can't even completely comprehend. And we're not, I don't think, meant to completely comprehend, but also something that can't be so easily destroyed as something physical. Like, there's just no way that, like, even if you're gone, there's still the memory of you. There's still something left over. It still exists. It's still around. And it's not physical. It's not something you can touch or destroy. So that's what I feel about souls.
Nice. I like it. Greg, what about you?
I mean, it's kind of along the same lines, but I've always, I took a lot of philosophy in undergrad and stuff, and we talked about brains in a jar and, this and that, and what is the self. And I don't know, I don't know if I'm in a cynical phase or what, but I'm lately been wondering whether souls exist at all. I would like to think so. There's a comfort in imagining that there's some incarnation of you that can live apart from your body, since your body is doomed to expire at some point. But if it's if it's really kind of the scientist or whatever in me talking, a soul doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, so I think I'm very ambivalent about it, because part of me, sometimes I can't fight sort of the intellectual side of me or the cerebral side that says that, well, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, and then the other side of me that wants there to be something more romantic about life. And I would imagine it's somehow an aura that is around your body, because I feel like that's the only way I can really relate to it. If it's kind of this heady concept of it floating in the air, then what are there strings? Like, how does that work? So I feel like it's kind of a surrounding about you that does, in a more in a way, interact more fluidly with other souls around you than our physical selves. So that intuition that somebody is nearby or having compassion for someone, I think that's kind of your souls sort of dancing with each other and trying to figure each other out. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it.
No, I think that was great, and we had someone appreciate that as well.
Hi, Gracie girl.
And then something a little more comedic route of it. I appreciate this one. The soles are at the bottom of your shoes, right? But then I like the taking it a different direction. Indeed, the soles are your feet are your foundation. I like it. And actually, then yeah, well, then that's a question of it. You know, it could be religion or not. That's the other thing. Side note: if you all haven't seen his Dark Materials, that's a cool concept because the idea is like your soul lives outside of your body, is the opposite sex, and is an animal. Yeah. Super cool. Cherami, what are your thoughts on where does the soul reside?
So I think that, I mean, obviously everything in this world is made up of energy. So I think that, and also that's what I liked about this episode is everybody was connected because they all came from the same energetic life force energy. And that your soul is the animating factor that comes into your body, your vessel, and animates you in this life. So when your body doesn't need it anymore, it goes back up to the collective energy source in the universe. And all of those memories, experiences, like what they were saying in the show, goes back with you. It doesn't live in the body. It doesn't live in the things. It lives in that energetic soul source. So the lessons that you learn, all the things that you learn, it goes back up to the collective. And it's just, for me, it's a helpful thing to keep track of is that while we're all different people and making different choices, we all have to look out for each other because we all really are one. We're all interconnected. We're all sharing this same planet. And it's like a great reminder of what I do to somebody else, I'm actually doing to myself because we all have to live on this planet. We all have to interact with each other. And it's easier just to look out for each other and be kind and make sure that everybody is being treated and given the same amount of fairness and the same amount of opportunities because we're all coming from the same whole. We're just all pieces of that. And we're here to help each other and teach each other and look out for each other.
I like Cherami's answer. I believe that now. Forget what I said.
Well,
That's my belief.
It fits well with the show because we literally see essentially the souls and energy go places, be used, and go to wherever. And it's like that kind of collective energy. Lovely. And then Brandon.
Oh boy. Okay. I've had a lot of time to think on this.
You're all ditto. No.
It better be awesome.
Oh no! All right, the pressure's really on. Okay, no. So for me, the soul is a tricky thing because, I don't necessarily believe it's something that sits like inside you in like a pocket somewhere, but also I don't see it as a expanded thing either. I think it's something that's uniquely yours, but it can affect everyone else, so it's like I think your soul is almost like I think like the soul almost has building blocks as you get older and as you grow, you take on you're basically a byproduct of your surroundings, and you can either have a really free, like loving, like caring soul, or you can have something else that's maybe not so pretty, and and I feel like it's linked a lot with personality, and it's strange because as I'm thinking about it, it's like I like Cherami said, the collective thing, just thinking of souls as a big concept. It's hard. It's hard for me because it's not something so simple as, oh, this is my soul, this is what it like. I don't even know how to explain it, honestly, but the best way that I could put my belief on souls is that your soul is a byproduct of what you've been through in your existence. And the fact is that some people can have beautiful, like giving, caring, kind souls, almost like personalities, you know, and then other people, you know, maybe not so much. But the enthusiastic and happy side of me says it's something that it is, a soul is uniquely yours, and the fact that it is a byproduct of your surroundings makes it something that's so unique to you that nobody could take it away. Wow, that was very strange to talk about. I hope it made some sense.
Beautiful.
No, it's great. It's lovely. And thank you all for sharing it. I know it's kind of a big, abstract, but almost not at the same time kind of question. And with a show like SAO, these are topics that are in the show, and people watching it, maybe it's something you think about or not. Leave comments down below your thoughts on anything that we've covered so far. Thank you all very much for sharing your perspective on it. I think everybody had a beautiful answer. Everybody's answer was a good answer. Don't worry, Greg. Yours was okay too. No, I'm just kidding. No.
I just sniffed too much glue. I'm so sorry.
No, it's great.
Never apologize, Greg. You are a delight.
So speaking of assists and helps, back to that, we have Kirito brings, essentially, it looks like he brings back the stars in the night, because the night sky was this red, like, weird light going on, but it's like that comes back. It's kind of energy, and that's speaking of, as we were speaking of energy and sending energy, we have Sinon, Lifa, Sheta, Iskan, and more. Everybody, we got Silica, Elizabeth, sending energy and almost essentially prayers too, because we see essentially characters we haven't even met too, you know, praying, sending energy, or, you know, it doesn't even have to be like praying to a god. They're just sending.
They're focusing on like
exactly
where they want, yeah, their intent.
Exactly, intention. And sending that to what's going on and everything. And then even Alice and Asuna sending their love too, which was beautiful and great. So Kaylee, what was that for you?
Like a ninja star also.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought that was cool. It's like, I get this cool last little burst ninja star.
yeah.
It was like one of her like osmanthus flowers, I think. It was just, so that was really cool. And she just like poured her heart out within herself to that and put it all that feeling into that to send out. So that was her last, like, thank you for everything that you gave me. I believe that I was real no matter what happens. And I was here. And here's proof that I was here and that you loved me and that I loved you. And I thought that was beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's great that, you know, everybody in their own way is able to help and wants to help too. It's not like, you know, we don't see anybody who's like, it's not going to make a difference. It's not, I'm not going to even try. Because it's like, no, they all have hope. They want to try and put forth what they can. And also, this gets the supercharged sword. Also, all of his body gets repaired. All of Kirito's body is immediately repaired. And there are... we get the Starburst stream, and there is some epic yelling going on. So, Greg, how was that? Both you and Bryce.
Yeah, that was rough, honestly. That day, that was one of those sort of like go home and suck on Chinese syrup days, because it was so... The thing about my voice is that to get that really high shrieking thing, I have to be sort of in the right place and the right mindset. Otherwise, there's just this ceiling that I can't get past. And so that day, the tricky thing is like trying to do it, but you only have a few shots at it before your voice is just blown out. So thankfully, Alex and I were able to get sort of like a decent shriek out for that last moment. But it's hard for me. It really is.
I was going to say, besides your voice being sexy, wait, what was that? Yeah, no, that's... It's so many moments that you have to, you know, put so much energy forth that literally that, you know, how do you get that into a character and make it sound real, you know, because it's just, come on, let's be real. Anime is just so wonderfully over the top that you're like, how do you keep it grounded without it sounding like I'm a character yelling? You know, it can just be almost silly that you're just like, what is happening right now on this show? That's constantly in the show.
Weren't you recording from home?
No, this was before.
Okay,
yeah, this is
okay.
Before.
Wait,
was it?
I was gonna say you should be at home by this time, unless they had a studio that was open, because you.
No, Alex and I went to a restaurant. We were sneezing on each other afterwards, so it must have been at the studio. No, I honestly don't remember. I guess it was here. So, Cherami, what were you going to say about being at home?
I was going to say, if you guys were at home, that makes it even more complicated, because that's been one of the hardest things for me, is having to run my own gain when you have these like more quieter, intimate moments, and then you don't know, because I mean, I don't know. You probably do, because you've been recording music from home. But like, I never know, like, how loud is this going to get when I rarely get to that really, really high screechy place, unless it's a really serious moment. Like, where do I need to hit on the gain so it doesn't fry? And then I've wasted this perfect scream on audio that is not even going to be usable. So when I was watching that, my first thought was, oh, Greg and Bryce. And then I was like, oh my gosh, they were having to monitor gain while they were doing this. That is insane. And watching timing. Oh, bless them.
Just keep a record of times. So if it's like, if it's like 11 o'clock, it's like when you know where your projection is here. And like for the biggest scream, it's 9 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then you'll remember. You won't have to worry about it.
This is a good question. If any of you have had this, have you had weird reactions from others at your home or your neighbors? Do your neighbors know? Do you notify your neighbors? I know I've had at least one voice actor be like, I've had to tell my neighbors ahead of time, be like, don't worry, I'm screaming. Or do you live in a place where it doesn't really matter, / your booth doesn't hear it too much? Greg.
Yeah, the booth's pretty decent. I think nobody really hears it, except for maybe my dog, and she's terrified. But I mean, I try to keep her out of here when I'm recording and stuff. But yeah, nobody really knows.
Yeah. Kaylee.
Well, my boyfriend and I have been living together for over 6 years, and our first place was a studio, so he's used to it by now. Anyway, and then our 2 roommates do voiceover, so they're used to it. And the neighbors that are on the side where my booth is, which is like right over there, they get the police called on them regularly for like arguing and sounding like they're killing each other. So I don't think they're going to say anything.
Woo, okay.
Excuse me, could you guys keep it down in there? Thank you.
Stop killing each other for 5 seconds. I need to record my anime. Yeah.
And Cherami, what about you?
So my husband is, I guess, sort of used to me screaming or saying really ridiculous, sometimes aggressive things in the booth. So he's just like, well, she's working. There have been a couple of times where he's come downstairs if I'm recording something very quiet, and I'll hear him start doing things in the kitchen. I'll have to text him and be like, I'm having a session. He was like, sorry, I just thought you were talking. So I'm like, maybe he thinks I just talk to myself now. But the ones that I'm worried about are my cats, because when I'll scream or I'll have to sing, they want to scream or sing with me. So they will try to meow or match either at the end of it, or when I take a break, there will be like a little tiny meow. So I'm like, anytime there's a scream, I'm like, guys, immediately after, just be ready. So they have,
Please tell me there's video of this.
No, there is audio. I know at least one of my cats has been buried in a Walla track somewhere, because they were like, that was a perfectly clean meow, and we had a cat that runs across the screen in a different scene. So
That's amazing.
I've had people that have said like, well, did you make sure they got compensated? I was like, I'm a terrible stage mom. I didn't check on anything. I just said, thank you for not firing me because my cats are loud.
And Brandon, what about you?
Yes. So we're all voice actors here. Yeah, so it doesn't surprise anyone. And then my neighbors, they smoke a lot, so I think they just think they're imagining it half the time anyway. So I think we're okay. I've never had any complaints.
Yeah. Cats want to be actors too. We've had issues with them doing self-tapes as well. They will jump over me or run in front of me or just be very distracting. They really want their shot.
Okay, so a question, we'll go around real quick. What are you recording in at this time? We'll start with Kaylee.
So I'm currently in a walk-in closet, and then in my walk-in closet, I have part of a PVC frame and like moving blankets. So yeah, it's pretty like janky to think about, but it works.
Hey, whatever gets the job done, you know? Yeah. Greg, what about you?
It's just a booth with a bunch of shredded blue jean panels like on the side. And I was, for a long time, I was sitting in there, which is the dumbest thing ever. I can't even remember why I did this, but I had a chair and then I had my desk and then I had like this gigantic boom stand holding one mic and then another mic hung off the thing. So it was a total disaster. So I upgraded to like a standing desk extension, got rid of the chair, got rid of everything in the booth. And now I can literally lie down and take a nap in there. So it's super cool.
Oh wow!
I
But
wish
yeah,
I had that piece.
I'm not totally stretched out. I mean, I'm like in a fetal position, but I can fall asleep.
I'll take a nap.
Okay, yeah.
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 Cherami?
I was imagining Greg taking power naps while they're editing things. Because I imagine you do like a long run and they're like, great, let me put all that together. And you're like, great, I'll take a power nap.
Oh,
Let
I
me know
totally,
what's
I don't fall asleep, but I do lie down and close my eyes. Like if they're
that's
debating something, and
Yeah.
then they're just like, hey, Greg, you still out? Yep, still here. Yeah, I stand up.
Oh, I've done that before.
I am in a closet as well that I've treated with foam and silencing blanket on the ceiling, which has been fine. I mean, I thought about getting a booth, and I've had talked to people saying, well, do you think this would be better? Do you think this would be better? And they would say, no, your setup sounds great, so don't change anything. And I'm like, well, if this works, I'm not going to change anything, at least not right now.
There you go. And Brandon?
Yeah, I record in here. So as you can see, I have all tile floor, but somehow I basically went to Home Depot, bought a bunch of plywood, and we built like a 8-9 foot booth by like 5 feet wide. It's very small. But basically built the booth, stuffed it full of foam, like everywhere that I could find, put moving blankets on the ground, and then old comforters that I don't use on the ground. And then I have the entrance, instead of it being covered by plywood, I have it covered by 4 blankets. And it is very dead in there, and but it is very warm. So yeah,
So voice actors are just playing in forts now, yes?
Basically,
Yeah.
blanket
Good.
forts.
And that's
Yeah.
the only
Which was
reason we want to
all
be
of-
voice actors.
all of our ways to get auditions done when we were at conventions and traveling and seeing what worked and what didn't, on like how to deaden a space, is all training for this situation. I remember we'd be like, just set up
Right?
like 4 pillows and like throw the blanket over your head. I had to record at a convention in Australia, do some audio stuff for Radio Disney, and I would crawl into the closet. I created a little like booth in there, and every morning I would do what I needed to do and then leave. Everyone was like, can you get a setup together? I was like, yes, I can. Australia was research.
If anybody would like to add, we've kind of talked about it, but have there been any particular difficulties recording from home versus at the studio? I mean, obviously the studio has everything you need, but has there been maybe anything that's come up that you didn't expect as a difficulty recording from home?
I hate Source Connect. Oh my goodness.
All right.
Yeah, Source Connect is like a program that you use to like connect to studios from home, and sometimes it can just be very it can drop out a lot, and sometimes you can't control it, and sometimes it will kill a whole workday because you are at the mercy of your internet connection, or maybe like Source Connect dropouts, whatever the case. But I don't like Source Connect that much. It's not very fun.
Cherami.
I miss being able to interact with the directors and the engineers and getting to see actors coming in and out of the booth and have crosstalk that way and see how everybody's doing. I feel like over the last year, we jump on, we're like, hi, how are you? And the response is always, good, all things considered. And there's just a lot of anxiety. I think anytime you start a session, even if you've worked with them and you know the setup, anything can happen tech-wise for any ridiculous reason, and you're constantly learning new things and you're constantly trying to figure out how to troubleshoot. And that is not something that I am skilled in, and I'm enjoying learning about it, but it's really stressful wanting to make sure that it runs as smoothly for the director and the client and the engineer. And they have expertise that I don't have, and they're trying to walk me through it over Skype or Zoom or Source Connect or whatever other software. And I can't imagine how frustrating that must be for them, when if they were here, they would be able to like just handle it immediately, because they could do this like the back of their hand. So that's been tricky. But I think really I just miss getting to interact with everybody. There's just a fun energy. Even though we're still trapped in a booth behind glass and they're on the other side of the glass, there's still just a really fun energy of getting to see them or play off of them or have like an immediate reaction that we don't really have.
That's a very good point. Kaylee.
Yeah, I definitely miss the studio energy and just like fun interactions that would happen. I remember we were recording something like 4 years ago, and we were taking a break because we were having like some issues. We had to like talk to the client about stuff. And I was sitting on the booth floor and I was making raptor noises. I don't really know why I was doing this, but I was making raptor noises.
As one does.
That's you just do that.
And Crispin Freeman opens the booth door, stares at me for 5 seconds, and just goes, "Wrong booth." And that's the only real life interaction I had. Taking a class with them online like 6 years ago. So, just stuff like that. And the technical stuff isn't fun. If you have Windows, it's double the nightmare because nothing wants to work with Windows. Everyone wants to use a different system. If one of the things doesn't work, it can throw off the whole day. And I feel bad because it throws off all of production, even if it's not your fault. And it's just, then everyone's stressed. Everyone's already stressed out. And I just want everyone to be happy and have fun again.
And Greg.
Yeah, well, the only good thing is that you don't have to drive anywhere. So especially for those West Side sessions, it's kind of cool. But I would obviously trade that in an instant to be able to see people and, get free coffee, which is always the best, because we don't have a Keurig machine at home. And all the students have these awesome Keurig machines. And I figure I guess I could just buy a Keurig machine, but
you're all not sponsored.
Yeah. No, I like the creamers that they have too, because they have hazelnut.
Coffee and snacks.
And snacks. Oh yeah, those Welch's like fruit snacks are super awesome.
Right?
And like the fruit leather thing.
I know someone who works for Keurig. I'm gonna see if they can do like the Happy Honda days where they just start gifting people that need things. They'll be like, "Hey, look, you want a cool promo opportunity? This is it."
Then the next interview I'm in is just gonna be like, "I'm so happy. It's great here at home now."
I love it. Thank you for sharing those. All right, last bits of the episode. We definitely have Eugeo for the win, holding off the attack, which was so cool that he could actually be essentially, even if he's a memory, I mean, we could really get into what he is, but the fact that he can stop the attack is like, what? So that was awesome. And there's definitely the Exodus. Alice disappears, hopefully to the real world. We don't know just yet. Kirito gets his super sad bye Eugeo and lonely cry. And we're going to pause real quick before we get to the final moment. But Greg, you had a moment where you did some crazy laughter. How was that? Like when he's dying, essentially being defeated, Gabriel has this like weird laugh. I'm like,
that stuff is always fun. I like that stuff. I mean, it really is taxing, just like the screaming and stuff. But when it's combined with laughter, it's actually really fun to do. So because I don't know, I enjoy maniacal laughing. I don't know if that's like the character trait or what that is, but I was well prepared for that from Beyblade when I was there's a character named Hyde that did a lot of like laughing and shrieking and stuff. So I think I've developed a little bit of endurance. But yeah, it's fun to be a maniac.
Well, there you go. And someone who you would almost say that they have gone off the deep end, but we definitely respect the decision. Asuna sticks around, does not let her boy Kirito stay there by himself. I was so glad because I was like, girl, he's been taken from you so many times, or you from him, that's like, stay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think for her there was any other choice. She's not gonna leave without knowing he's leaving too.
Exactly. Any other final thoughts on the episode before we start wrapping up here?
I just, as I was watching it, and I rewatched it today just to make sure it was fresh, because last night it was late, so I was seeing it I was probably seeing it while I was feeling a little tired. So I watched it again, and my first thought after last night was, man, it is a beautifully animated episode. I mean, there's just so much going on. The animation is beautiful. And that was still the case when I rewatched it today. The visuals are beautiful. I think the effects are great. I just couldn't get over how visually stunning the episode was.
The animation on this show has always been beautiful, but definitely just even technology catching up. The fight scenes are just so, fluid and fast, and you see so much going on. Yes, I like this. Star King and Queen. Yes, sticking around.
And Greg's demonic energy form self was way cool.
It was pretty cool.
Yes, it was weirdly beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of pretty. And there we go. Anyone else have any final thoughts on this episode or anything else, SAO, you'd like to add? Everyone's like, I'm fine. No, Kaylee.
I guess this is more like it ends with a lot of question of like what's going to happen now, and it's answered. I'll tell you that you will get your answers, but you might have to watch those a few times before you get your answers for real. There's a lot that's going to happen, so like pay as close of attention as you can to the next few things that are happening because it's a lot really fast.
Indeed, yes. Greg, any other final thoughts?
I mean, if I ever have the time, I'd love to go back and actually watch all the show to see who are these people I was being such a dick to the whole time. So that'd be pretty cool.
Brandon.
I mean, I'm just glad, my boy got to come back and help in the final battle. And, really, I like Cherami and all of you have said, like, this episode was like crazy beautiful as far as animation. And I think that's like been one of the high points for this season in particular. Like, my favorite animation studio as far as anime actually had a hand in it. It's called Ufotable, if you guys know who they are. But like they did like the Fate series and stuff like that, and they did Tales Up series and stuff. They do amazing animation, and so every time I see their name on a product, I'm like, that's gonna look amazing. They did Demon Slayer too, so like I love their work, and I was happy to like see the charm in it all this time around. So
yeah, get to see it all wrapped up together. And yeah, Greg, I'd be curious to know your thoughts after you now go back, and see who these people were you were so mean to.
Purgatory thoughts. I wonder who those people were that I was a dick to.
Yeah,
I'll probably watch it because I have no soul, and I'll be like, whatever.
You're like, it's fine. Yes.
Freaking poly tribe. Who cares, man?
Yeah. All right, and then we'll go around if you have any projects that are recently or maybe a little bit older that have come out that you want to let people know about, please do. And yeah, it could be a little older because maybe people don't know about it. So let's go. We'll start. And where to find you online? We'll start with Kaylee.
So you can find me on Twitter at Kaylee Mills, also like Instagram. I sometimes do TikTok when I figure out how to use it. Next weekend, I'll actually be doing a live signing, 1 hour each day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you're interested in that, check out my Twitter. There's a bunch of links to it. And you can order prints to have signed live. And whatever you want said there, you just put it in. And I'll be like, hey, dude, I saw that you did the thing. So now I'm doing the thing. And then we do the thing.
I dig it. Do the thing, for sure. Greg, what about you?
Obviously Yakuza Like a Dragon's been out for a while, but that's one I'm pretty psyched about. I was just announced for Gears of War 5. There's an expansion called Hive Busters, and I play a helicopter pilot, which is super fun. And I've got a piano album that's going to be coming out. I'm doing a piano album of game music, so keep an eye out for that in the future.
Heck yeah.
Oh, and Greg Chun VA on all socials.
Yes. And Cherami.
You can find me on Twitter at Cherami Leigh, on Instagram at CLK Star, and on Facebook, I think it's just facebook.com/Cherami Leigh, if anybody's still on Facebook. Did you say she never uses it?
She never uses it.
I'm rarely on Facebook. To be fair, I have not been on social media very much the last few months. just because it's been it's like such an angry place. So I just like, I have to like go in, spend a minimal amount of time there and then like jump out. Otherwise I will go down so many dark holes of what's happening here, what happened over here. And it makes me really sad. So, but I do love when I get to talk to everybody, and everybody has been really, really kind, sending me feedback on, Pokemon and BNA, which are on, Netflix, and of course Sword Art. And then I am the voice of Female V in Cyberpunk 2077. So that's been really fun to see people. I've been watching everybody's streams because there's so many different choices that you can make. And I have to watch everybody else and see what they do. So I don't have to make decisions. I know I'm eventually going to have to play and start making decisions, but when you voice all of the lines and you don't want to make the choices because you're going to have to not get to hear everything that you love. So it's been fun getting to see everybody else go through that and what their Vs look like and what choices they make. So that's been a lot of fun. So if you have art, send me the stuff. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was a blast.
Love BNA. Such a good show. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. So good.
I love that. Was one of the first shows that we did start to finish in quarantine. So that was one of the first shows I started working on at home, which was a little intimidating. But we found how to record when your video isn't moving. When there's a major lag, how to adjust. So that was I was amazed what the wonderful team at SDI was able to do to put it all together, because they were really finding out trial and error what worked and what didn't. And I really, really loved working on the show, and everybody seems to enjoy it, which is fantastic.
It's also up for a few awards on the Crunchyroll Awards too. So if you guys like that show,
and so is Dorohedoro and
yes,
my sweet, fierce warrior lady. I love her so much.
I love Dorohedoro too. That's another weird show. Yay! All these great shows that are online.
Yeah.
All right, and so thank you. All those shows people should go check out for sure. And game, yes, exciting, very much so. And Brandon, what about you?
Yeah. Hi. So you guys can find me on all my social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that fun stuff at Winckler VA. You learn how to spell my last name right over here where my name is.
I know it's like the.
Yeah, and also check out Kuroko no Basket or Kuroko's Basketball. I've known it as Kuroko no Basket for so long now. It's like weird to call it like Kuroko's Basketball. But I play Izuki in that show. It's now on Netflix. You should check it out. It's a good show. And then Disgaea 6, I play Zed, the lead character, which it will be coming out sometime this year, I believe. So keep an eye out for that. And then I feel like there was one more thing that I wanted to talk about. Oh, well, I can't remember. Feel free to look it up on IMDb. But yeah, no, thanks, guys.
Awesome, thank you. And then everyone, you can go find me there. It's like a mirror thing. There we go. Yes, right here, Carrie D Lane on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the things. And thank you so much, everybody who joined us in the live stream. If you're watching this later, no worries at all. Comment down below your thoughts on the episode, and if anything else stood out to you on the episode that we didn't get to talk about. And make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button because you'll want to stay tuned to see who we have as guests for the next following weeks. It's always a fun surprise for sure. And thank you to my guests for joining me. It was super fun diving into this episode with all of you and hearing all of your insight and experiences working on this show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
Yay. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, again, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Stay safe and take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.